Hey, you missed us, didn't you? We know we didn't have an episode last week, but it was a two-parter, so we figured we would just combine the two and get it all out the way. So, here's a big episode of And That's the Minority. Drop the header. Ooh, all righty. What episode is this? This is what, 5 and 6?
This is episodes 5 and 6 of season 18, the Raida Queen episode. So, community, we know that these episodes have been out there for a minute. There's been a lot of dissecting, a lot of conversations already. We are not going to go through line by line and do all the details of episode 1 and episode 2, but we're going to talk about some key themes. So, let's just talk about the placement of this episode in this season. You know, what are some of your thoughts around, typically this episode would be the first 2 episodes that we watch, and we know that we've had some feelings about nobody's going home and et cetera, et cetera. But now these queens have had a chance to work with each other. They've had some highs, some lows, some infighting. There's relationships building, some that are getting frayed. And then they go into the talent show with the Raida Queen concept after the talent show split between these 2 episodes. What are some of your thoughts around the placement of this? Is this a smart move? Or should they go back to what it was before or do something completely different?
I mean, I feel like they had to do it at this placement. We found out in the first episode that 3 other girls were from Florida, right? And family members, right? So we already knew that there was going to be that dynamic. So we needed to have it play out some more and see who builds friendships, who is left out, without the friend group, fighting for numbers as well, too. So I don't think it would have been able to be done correctly if it was done earlier in the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm glad that the producers are open to shuffling things. Because sometimes you might get producers that get stuck. No, this is how we always do it. Shut up, new intern. We don't need fresh breath of air, nothing. I agree with you, Jerrell. If they put this beginning, it was going to be super easy for them to be like, well, these are the people I know. I haven't formed a bond with anyone yet. Okay, I'm going to rate my sisters, my daughters high, and it is what it is. So I think it was clever, and it kind of showed that, everyone's trying to jockey for positions. We're like, okay, no, you're my sister, so I'm going to keep you high. But will it play that way? I don't know. And my thing, I know this may be a question later, but it's I don't know how it played, because if your talent wasn't that good that week, sis,
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. I have to say, I love how messy the producers are this season. I mean, the producers have historically been quite messy. And you kind of know that season after season, because if ever there's a relationship, they will prey on that relationship and make sure that those 2 that are in it, whether it's mother-daughter, drag mother, drag daughter, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's brother-sister, whether it's twins, they will find a way to make you compete against each other. Yeah. So in a way, I kind of feel like they knew what they were doing when they figured out the show order based off of who they cast for the season. Because we're going to bring in the drag
95
mother,
girls from Miami.
We're going to bring all these chicks in from Miami. We know there's going to be camaraderie here. How can we leverage this to amp up the drama factor, if you will, of the season? And I think that this was one of the ways that they're really preying on that. And I'm very curious. It's got me very curious about how it is also going to play out through the rest of this season. Will these relationships continue to be as strong? What happens when mother and daughter, or sister and auntie, or granddaughter and mother have to compete to stay into the competition? So those are going to be some interesting things.
Quick question for both of you. Say we were drag queens or on a show and we didn't know we were all going to be on that same show, and we walk into the room, we saw each other. Would you be like, yes, bitch, we're about to run this? Or you'd be like, oh, damn, this just adds too much pressure now? I think I'd be like, oh, we're about to run this, bitch. I don't think I would feel pressure at all.
If I'm being honest, my sneaky ass is like, you know what? I'm going to act like we don't know each other. Divide and conquer, honestly.
Yeah.
And the cool thing for us, again, if to your question, we all live in 3 different cities. So we would have the advantage of being like, we really don't know each other. We could be gauging each other, but be plotting behind the scenes. you know, like I think like when we had Derek Fraser on last year from Big Brother, and the cookout did that divide and conquer thing. Like, that's what I would do. Yeah. But the thing is, though, as we know, like you really only get to have those conversations when the cameras are on or when the cameras are around. So it's going to be hard for us to get together and figure out how to plot that. Now, the real tea would be as how do we make sure that the three of us will stay in the competition as long as possible? That's the real thing we would have to figure out how to help each other with, like, you know each other's strengths and stuff like that. So, you know, it would be one of those things where we probably would act like we don't fuck with each other, but we would make sure we're picking each other in the groups and certain challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. Assuming that we aren't, you know, doing a podcast together where we have 6 years of history that, you know, anybody who knows anything about the internet.
Oh, that's just the aunties over there.
Assuming that is off the table and we were just regular schmegular, you know, folks and, you know, doing our own things and whatnot, I would want to play the same game. But also, I feel like it oftentimes becomes an unspoken bond that we haven't yet seen on Drag Race, to be honest. That when black people are in a competition show, they bond together. If I think back to all the other seasons, specifically in the U.S., where there have been, you know, more than one black queen, they haven't really banded together as much. But also, there haven't been as much competitive activities or challenges where that would have been a competitive advantage for them. Whereas where the Raida Queen, now that this is part of kind of like the show format, I would venture to say that when you get, you know, 3 black queens together, like if we were 3 black queens on this show, even though there's only 2 right now. Wait, am I saying that right? Okay, yeah, just making sure. I had to do a double check, like check the lineup. There's only 2. So I don't think 2 is enough for a real alliance. You can be cool with each other and still rate each other high. But like if you've got 3, band together and keep that shit like you have the Keke Palmer Titanic you know, eye conversations with each other. Not the you know, moving the mouths and having
like that's it. Like, okay, got it.
We know how this is gonna go. When everybody's talking about who's gonna be at number 1, I'll be like looking over to you and looking over to you. I might be in another group with a whole bunch of other girls, but I'll be like.
It would be fun because, you know, the producers would pick up on it, so they'd like catch all the eye contact. It'd be looking like Abbott Elementary.
Yeah.
Baby, but that would be fun. That would be. I would love
Jerrell,
that. Like,
Jerrell, you find us a show to get on. You know you miss a reality, man. You be trying to get in all the shows. Get us a show.
We need MTV to make a Real World Get Me Out of Here season for people who are not 19, who've been in the real world, say, I don't want to be part of this anymore, and make that the show.
I don't want you no more.
Okay,
sorry, I know we threw you on the tangent there.
No, it's all good. That was a good question, though. Okay, so episode 1, episode 2, we've got the winners of those episodes. So episode 1, we have, or I'm sorry, part 1, we've got, let me go back to my little notes. Winner is
Juicy Love Dionne and Mia Starr.
Love Dionne and Mia Starr with the double win. How do we feel about that? Was this a deserved double? Shantae, you both stay, you win. Did somebody edge the other out? What were your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I live for the drama. I feel like one of them should have won. I don't know which one, but I feel like Ru should have picked one. Like, I think it would have been made for great TV for one of them to go back there and be like, well, I think I ate her up. Well, I think like just to get the, you know, the family drama started. That's how I would have produced it if I'm being 100% honest. Because you saw in the next episode how they are both just like, oh, I'm so happy that I got to do it with you, and it was very kumbaya. So I'm ready for whatever family dynamic they're gonna add to like blow that up, I feel like that would have been a perfect time. I hate if they split it up with them both being in the bottom. Like that's where I hate if they wait to that moment to divide them up. I would have rather it happen and see it seep into the workroom and into the challenge and throughout the rest of the season. So I'm a little messy like that. But I mean, they were the better girls of the first group. So yeah, I think they deserve to be the winners.
And the low key third place one was Nene for me. Nene's sneaky with her like she's playing the game how I think I would. Like she ain't giving you all her info yet and all her skills, but I was like, oh, you just gonna do a backflip too, ho? Like that's what we doing. Like okay,
and
Nene.
should
okay
and should
right, absolutely. But they absolutely got it right with Mia's Angelica doll hair.
Look, the winner for me of that entire lip sync performance was Mia Starr's nipple. Her left nipple was holding on for dear life because baby, that half of her little bralette was ever so slightly inching over with all the little chest bumps and titty bumps that she was doing. I was waiting for that thing to pop the hell out, and it was like the nipple was holding onto the side of the seams. Like I can't show my face this time, baby. That had me on the edge of my seat the entire part of it.
Super. What was? Oh yeah, because even their talents were probably their talents were at the top of that week too. Yeah, it was a good call. Yep.
And then we had the winners of the second week, which was I don't have
Athena.
Hold on 1 second. Athena. It was Athena, just Athena. And do we feel that Athena was the winner of this week?
I guess. Like I felt like it was definitely the weaker of the 2 weeks. Like all of the girls in that one. I probably might have actually given it to Mikey. At least it was something like a little different that I hadn't seen before. I don't know if I like Athena. That's what I'm kind of gathering. Like,
okay, tell us more about that.
It's not that I don't dislike her. There's something that I'm just not connecting with her. And I really don't like her makeup either. And maybe that's what it is. Like, there's just something. I feel like she's giving us what she wants us to believe a drag queen is, if that makes sense. That like, and it just might be like she's always like the host down there in Miami and things like that. So it has to be like this pageantry and this. I don't know, the stereotypical. I don't think we've really seen Athena yet. And maybe the closest is with this Greek number, like that's her heritage and things like that. But I feel like there's something just askew for me that I'm not like getting into her yet. And I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, the top two were Athena and Jane Don't. And Athena was the one who edged this out with they did the song Jerkin by Amel and the Sniffers. What are your thoughts, Jerrell?
I mean, the lip sync was pretty meh, if I'm being honest. It honestly could have gone either way. I think I would have given it a little bit more to Jane Don't if I'm judging everything, that I am going to go Jane Don't, because I feel like her talent was a little bit more thoughtful, clever. She did her fucking homework. Again, Jane Don't came in with a game plan. And she even says, she was like, I'm doing this reference to this number that I know RuPaul and the judges going to understand. I don't know if the other girls going to understand. She came in with her homework. I've been saying this for a while now. The girl is smart. She is really, really smart. So
I hope she doesn't get in her own way, because she's starting to self-sabotage a little. Thinking caring too much what the girls are caring. Girl, them hoes can hate you with all that guts. It don't matter. Keep on your game plan, girl.
Yeah, but this week was justified because, to her point, again, it's not about how well you do. It's about how you are playing the Raida Queen game. Okay. And that's how, if I'm being honest, Mike ended up in the bottom. That's exactly how the other girl ended up in the bottom. The two people who were in the bottom should not have been the two people actually in the bottom. And that's
you don't think
the real
Sierra
tea.
should have been in the bottom?
No.
Ooh.
We all know Vita Von T her ass should have been down there in the bottom.
Vita
Vita and Can You Please Her should have been the two people in the bottom. We all know this.
You right.
Yeah.
You right.
Those are the two people who really should have been the bottom.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I understand why Jane was freaking out the way she did, because it truly wasn't about what she was bringing to the table. It's about the other girls and what they're doing.
Right.
And that's the dynamic that the Raida Queen brings to this competition. That's that surprise element. And you know, it's interesting because you have two different games that you need to play when you come to Drag Race now. You've got, you know, how do I make sure that my package and what I'm delivering from a looks perspective, from a personality perspective, from a willingness to be silly and make Ru laugh perspective in my own kind of way through my own kind of lens and brand. How do I do that so that that lands? And you have to also be prepared for, I need to start building relationships, build alliances, because I think what the season is showing us is that, yes, there are things that you can rely on in terms of the kinds of challenges that you can plan for. And of course, they give you a dossier that kind of explains, you know, being this looks and da 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 da. But then also there is this relationship strategy component that is strongly becoming a part of the season. And we've seen this, well, at least I've seen this in other franchises where, you know, there is this component of giving away the golden beaver or giving away the chippy, you know, cup, or, you know, these kind of like localized things that are a similar way of bringing in relationships as a divisive factor and adding a little bit more drama. And so, you know, people are going to have to level up. You know, they're thinking of how they're playing this game in more ways than one. What do we think about the bottom two for the second week? So that was Sierra Miss and Mikey Meeks. Do we feel like these were the right ones to have in the bottom? Do we agree with that? Do we not? I think, Jerrell, we heard
You
from
already
you.
heard my answer.
Yeah, I agree with him. Like, I think Sierra, like, because the way Sierra came out in that little figure skating outfit, that alone made me so mad. I was like, "Ho, go home."
Yeah. But she was already in the bottom, so
Exactly.
I get it.
So that made
She
me
was at the bottom.
confirm in my heart
She
of
was
my heart
already,
that like
yeah.
you was the bottom then. But I think Vita, like if we were playing fair, Vita and Kenya were definitely the worst. Sierra was right there for me as well. So like, it is what it is. All three of them ain't gonna win. So at this point in my mind, I'm like, okay,
Send them
slowly
all
but
home.
surely, all three of them gonna go. Mikey surprised me though. I didn't think Mikey was going to be in the bottom of that group, quite frankly. So that one was a little shocker for me. Yeah, actually, yeah, I didn't think it was going to be her out of those five or whatever, however many that was that
Yeah.
week. So.
What about you, Rel? What do you think?
Again, I thought those two weren't necessarily the worst. Again, Sierra missed judging her on her episode 5. She was not the worst. And for there, shouldn't have been in the bottom. It should have been Vita. And again, like, Can You Please Her? Like, Michelle Visage came and talked to the girls and said, know your words, and literally looked at her. And she didn't know the words to her own track.
To her own damn song.
To her own
own
track.
track.
Like,
That's-
she's on borrowed time. And I don't know. And I said this a couple episodes ago. But I think she's still figuring out who she is outside of the Lizzo impersonation. I feel like being the Lizzo impersonator, she's learned how to do maybe lip sync certain songs or just those types of songs. And she hasn't truly learned how to lip sync, right? And you can just even see in her routine in episode 6 here, the second group of girls, she did your standard drag performance, you know, twirl here, you know, the
Kick,
very slow
split.
wind up high kick, you know, like just
sad
it was
flag.
just, yeah.
Oh my God, that
Girl. So
oh,
I think
send her home.
I think she gonna need. Let me tell you, it's Black History Month, so I'm not gonna send her or Vita home. I'm saying they should have been the bottom. I hope they make it to March, and then I'll be okay being like
March 1st, send her.
You got to go. You got to go.
Got to
girl.
go.
You got
We
to
out
go.
the
Right now, I'm rooting for everybody black. Right now, I'm rooting for everybody black. But child, my sisters, y'all need to get it together.
that flag came out, I said, "What the hell is this?"
I was waiting for her to toss it. I said, I'm looking in the air, waiting for it to go up, and I'm just.
The
Oh
least
my
she could have
God.
had was two. The least she could have had. If you're gonna
No,
have one flag,
one was enough.
if you're gonna have if you're gonna have one flag, that the flag should have been 75 feet long, so that you're creating an experience. It just, I think the whole what was so disappointing about that, on top of her lack of knowing her own words, and then also lip syncing the chorus instead of the instead of the
Right, the
main
back, she
The
doing
lead
the ad
vocal.
libs.
the lead
She was
The
doing
lead
vocals,
ad
vocal.
libs.
was that there was no, she put no thought into production value. She's just said, I'm gonna come out here, just gonna be me, and I'm gonna dance
She's
and
relied on
wave
her
this flag
personality her
around.
whole career. You could tell that's what it is.
And it works in the bars, but it doesn't work on the main stage.
I
Truly,
also think
it
she
works in the
wasn't
bars,
truly
but not in the main
prepared
stage.
because 2 episodes ago, when she had to borrow I forget whose jacket it was, and she sewed that into the dress, and she was like, because my outfit didn't come in time. So like, just I can just tell that going into the season that I think there was other things that didn't maybe come in time, and I think maybe she's flustered, and I think we also might just be seeing her in real time, just like figure some shit out while there, and some of the
Yeah.
preparation work that she might have done leading up to it just weren't able to happen beforehand, and I think that might be one of the reasons why we're seeing some of the stuff that we see. I don't know, that's my personal thoughts. Again, I'm rooting for everyone black, so I'm trying to give my sister a break, but
Her wigs, her painting are good. It's just the rest of it's just a little too crunchy for now. She just needs to figure it out.
Beautiful
Give her a
gowns.
couple years, come back with a fresh perspective. And honestly, I think it's going to be good for her to get out there and do like work the world and tour a little bit and just get a different perspective. That's where you're going to get those little nuggets and growth that really feel like I'm good at that as well. Okay, I'm putting that into my tool
Yeah.
belt. So it'll be interesting.
I
But
don't
yeah.
know. I don't know much about her drag experience. I was not impressed from her Meet the Queens intro, and I remain unimpressed throughout. Like I like her personality. Rue likes her personality. It seems like we get a lot of beautiful big girls, black girls that come in and have a lot of personality, and but they don't go beyond that personality. They kind of rest. You know how some girls rest on their body? These girls rest on their personality, and it's like you have so much more to offer. So, yeah, she should have been in the bottom this week, but yeah. So let's not belabor that anymore. Let's transition a little bit to Mama Rue's look. Let's throw up the pictures from week 1 and week 2.
Mama Rue,
Let's start
what
with
you
week
wearing,
1.
boo? All right, here we go. I liked it. I was like, this is if you're gonna wear that wig, those stiff wigs, this is the outfits to wear them with. I like this one with the leg out in the rainbow shimmer. I was like, okay, you look rich this week, Rue. Okay.
yeah, I didn't hate it. I thought it looked good as well too. I was surprised to hear you say that you liked the wig, especially after the last episode we did. So that's a surprise.
It went with this
I think
outfit
of
this
all
week.
that surprising me more than her outfit. you liking that wig?
And I like the wig.
I actually like both, to be honest with you. And I liked her wig because this wig feels a little bit different than some of the other wigs. Maybe it's the couple of extra inches gets it out of Grannyville just a little bit. It feels more like Dynasty than Dinosaur.
very
I don't
Dynasty.
know, you know. But yeah, I thought, there wasn't anything super innovating about the look. I do love that Rue is showing a lot more skin, quote unquote.
Yeah.
With doing a lot of slits and just a lot of things that are very exposed, which is a little bit of a departure from some of the looks in the past. Not a terribly innovating look, but I love the metallic. I love the color combination. I think she looks really great. Her makeup looks amazing as always. And so, I was like, okay, good job on this one.
Yep. I like this week
And
too.
this past week.
I thought, yeah, I think she nailed it on this one too. This is very Dynasty. If we're gonna say Dynasty,
Diane Carroll.
baby, Diane Carroll would be happy. Devereaux, this is RuPaul Devereaux here.
Yes.
I don't like the
I liked it.
off nude bodysuit underneath. I didn't like that. Like, Dawon, to
what
your
did
point
you
earlier,
like,
like the
man?
exposed skin. Like, I think I would have loved the exposed skin a little bit more, with maybe having some glitter on the arm, on the actual, oiled melanated skin would have popped a little bit more for me. It just, her face just looks like it's floating, and then there's just the rest of the body, and I just don't like that disconnect at all from it. Other than that, like it's all right, but I like week one of the two-parter better.
Liked it better.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jarrell. One of the things that took me out for this, and I always have a problem with Nude Illusion because it never really looks like Illusion. It's very, very hard to get the skin matching. So in my opinion, if you're going to do something like this, it would have been better for it to have been a full-on glove with nails on the glove. That would have been better than having kind of like the hard cutoff at the sleeve, because you just have that two-tone and it makes it more noticeable. I know a lot of queens don't like to have a lot of shit glued to them, rhinestones and da-da-da-da-da. So they use that as a way to like be able to get in and out without having like their skin being irritated. So I could understand that. I'm not saying that that's her rationale for this, but I could understand it. It just, for me, it takes me out of the illusion when there is no nudeness to
Where there's no
the
illusion.
fabric.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it's one of those things, and it's kind of surprising because probably not under these lights, she was back there killing. She's like, oh, this Nude Illusion look nice. She stepped out on that stage. She's like, oh shit, this ain't my color. It was too late.
It's just hard.
Which is surprising.
I just feel like Nude Illusion is just really, really difficult. You've got to know exactly what you're doing. You got to make sure that the paint that you're doing blends in nicely, that where it's cutting off makes sense.
Yeah.
And if it's not truly nude, then don't make it.
Then come nude
go
yourself.
with something different. Yes.
Be naked your damn self. Yeah. But at least, Mama Ru, you coming back in my good graces, because for a couple of weeks there was some wigs being a little crunchy for me. I'm not mad at this wig too. Like, at least it's still her little kind of like drag wigs, but at least she kind of put the little part in the little brooch or whatever there. So, and then the face is always painted for the gods, so can't say shit about the face. The face is the money maker.
So let's transition to the talent show portion, and just really quickly, was there any particular talent show performance that stood out to you the most out of the two episodes?
I mean, I feel like we talked about it with the two that won in the first episode. Other than that,
I feel like
everyone
those
else
are the
was
ones
kind of
that stood out to you the most.
yeah.
Yeah, because there was definitely nothing in the week 2 that stood out the most. So yeah, Juicy and Mia. Juicy, Mia, and Nina.
I would say
those are the three.
I counterpoint, at least from my perspective, I really appreciated Mikey Meeks' performance. Number one, the fact that there were no words at all. It was all just performance. I really, really enjoyed that whole kind of like Frankenstein art, kind of alternative art presentation. I think that that to me was one of the most, it reminds me of what Rue really likes. She loves those kind of like twinky, alternative, quasi campy, kind of weird. If you'll think about what's the one queen that took a bath with a toaster and the spaghetti and all the other kind of things. She loves that kind of shit. And I kind of dig it too, because it's a counter to everything that we typically see on there. So for me, that was definitely a standout. But speaking of talents, what would your talent be if you were competing on the Drag Race? What would you do for the talent show competition?
I don't know. I think about this every year that they do it, and I'm like, I don't know what would translate well on the stage. Like, it would probably have to do something with music and things like that, but I don't know how I would not make it look like Discords. So I don't know what I would do, because like, it's hard to do like a musical instrument and make it look smooth and innovative and things like that. and we saw it with Discord looking crazy. So come back to me. Maybe I'll think of something quick again, but I don't know.
I think for me, and I have to get back into shape to do this again, but I think I would do the German wheel because I was in the circus for a year in high school, my senior year.
Right.
So I think the German wheel would be what I would do. That would just be something really just different.
Yes.
That none of the other girls can do. Now I know for a fact that I could dance, so I can split,
Right.
I can dip, I can flip, I can do all that. So I know that I'd be great at that. But I think I would go and do something just a little bit more different.
Yeah.
And I would bring in that circus act specifically.
See, that would be cool because, like, at this point, like, you got to be so good at dancing and so different. Like, because, like, we've just seen so many girls do a song, we've seen so many girls dance, and unless you Juicy and Mia again that do it like professionally, like, you know, it kind of starts to blur over the seasons. And so that's why I was thinking, even just like with the music, I'm like, what would I do differently in music that would be like, okay, that's Kerel's distinction that we have never seen that. And it gets hard to do it. So I don't think I have any other skills like that that be like, I wasn't in the circus or no shit, you know? And I'm not about to do no crazy ass poem, even though it was meaningful. Like Sierra Mist, I get you. It was a vulnerable moment, but there's a time and place for shit to happen. And that was not the time for that to happen. So I honestly, I think this would be the 1 week that would probably stress me out the most because I don't know if I have that many additional talents that would like look good on the stage, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, that would just be so stand differently than I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you do,
I
Dawn?
would, well, y'all know I can't sing. Y'all know I can't dance. Y'all know my memory ain't shit, so I damn sure ain't lip syncing to these songs. So I have to rule
Michelle
all
would be
that
talking
shit
to
out.
you. She's like, Dawon, know your
Honey.
words.
That's why she like. That's the real reason why she like Mikey Meeks.
right, 'cause there's no words.
That part. But if I had to do now, mind you, with practice and whatnot, if I was doing a competition show, things would be completely different because, you know, one thing that she is a professional. So,
Yes,
but she's, you know, but you can't learn rhythm in a couple of weeks while you get ready for Drag Race. So that I know that's out of the picture. I would actually, and I thought about this a lot. I would do a monologue or dialogue, but the monologue portion of it. And it would be Claire Huxtable's Baltimore
Of course you
big
would. I knew that
fun
was coming.
monologue.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Number one because that is such an iconic TV rant, you know, that most people know, number one.
Yeah.
And I think that just from I think people will be completely it would be unexpected for that to happen, and we don't have a lot of monologues from TV shows on the show. And the one time that they did the monologue as part of a challenge with Monet Exchange and Monet Exchange and Monsoon.
No, Monsoon. Jinx Monsoon.
Yeah, it was spectacular. But again, Black History Month and knowing what resonates for me personally, what would feel authentic to my brand. I would do something like that. Now, the question would be, how would I amplify it? Like, I thought about doing like, I would do me as my version of Claire and then have a puppet as Vanessa, because it is a dialogue, you know. It is a dialogue with her holding a donut in the puppet holding a donut in her hand, you know.
Yeah.
But I would think that would be something that would, like, for people who don't have like a real, like a bona fide talent, like playing an instrument, being able to dance or do flips and, you know, playing with fire and all these kind of things, you have to kind of think outside the box. And that's something I feel would be within my wheelhouse of talent.
Yeah. I could see definitely doing that. Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So let's switch over to the Raida Queen concept and the actual rankings. And my big question to you all is, as you have now seen how both episodes have played out, we saw that there was a little bit of a struggle between strategery, buffoonery, relationships, and do I just play it square? How would you approach the Raida Queen concept if you were on the show? How much would relationships, if you had relationships on the show, whether they were new or existing before, how much would that play into your rankings if you were on Drag Race?
I think it changes. I think it depends on the
does.
week. Like the week one girls, the girls who went first, I mean, it was undeniable who was 1 and 2. And to Athena's point, I think they made her job very easy to be like, hey, this is who I said I was going to put in 1 and 2, and they were 1 and 2. Now after that point, I think it just becomes down to really friendships, which again, why they were kind of campaigning and stuff like that. Week 2, if I was in week 2, it's interesting. I feel like you have to campaign twice as much, right? Because you have to talk to the girls of week 1, be like, hey, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, which is a little bit more different. And also because the girls in week 2 weren't all that good, it was harder in week 2 to be like,
Facts.
Who's the top and who is at the bottom. So to answer your question, long story short, I'm going top 2 winners, and then it's friendships from there. Now unless I made the word saying like it was one of y'all, my good Judies, and I did, and I would have done like Athena did, and Juicy and Mia did. If it was my family, I would have been like, boom, 1 and 2, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I would have done, okay, after my family's taken care of, who was 1 and 2, and then who was friends after that. That's honestly how, as fair as I would have been. Because I mean, you're not gonna tell me to go against my family, and I appreciate both Juicy and Mia being like, "This is my family," and Athena too being like, "This is my family." You crazy if you think I'm gonna vote otherwise.
Before Kerel goes, and hold your thought, Kerel, I want to piggyback on what you said, Jerrell, about how you would vote. Yes, you're going off of relationships. Would you also use that as an opportunity to get someone who is a big competitor out of the competition? Like, would you use that? Because that's the other component of it. It's like, what do I do with the rest of them? Do I take someone who is a big competition and then rank them lower so that they're at a greater risk of lip syncing? How would you approach that?
No, I wouldn't approach that. And honestly, if I'm like, has it ever happened? Like in a regular season, not an All Stars, in a regular season, because I feel like the regular season is way more produced than the All Star. Who was it in which season was it for the regular season?
Oh God, I have to go back. Now it's a question of whether it's a regular season or All Stars.
Because I'm pretty sure it was All Stars.
The only one I can remember, it was All Stars when Naomi Smalls voted out.
Exactly.
That's All Stars.
Yes, it's All Stars.
Yeah.
I forget who she voted out, but it was someone like big where you're like, oh,
Manila.
damn.
It was Manila.
Yes.
Maybe that's who I was thinking of. So I might be getting the regular season and All Stars confused.
I think when I think of how produced the regular seasons are, I don't think that would have been something that they would have even allowed to happen, because I think that would have affected how much of the season would have changed as well. At least with an All Star, you've got a bunch of girls that you're familiar with, and that you might have a couple that you're rooting for. But with it being so lopsided this season, that ain't happening. I just don't see the producers allowing that to happen, if I'm being 100% honest. So I think at this point, the Raida Queen is just about, again, those friendships, to how you mentioned, a little bit ago, about that dynamic of playing that game. So that way you are at the top, or, you get them to at least be like, hey, because that's kind of how I roll too. I mean, no, y'all saw me run, traders when I did it with my friends. So I can get some of the girls that I don't care about that would have been 5 and 4, getting me at 1 and 2. So
yeah.
And what about you,
think it would depend if I came in with you all, or if I came in not knowing anyone. If I came in not knowing anyone, I think I'd almost play it twofold. I would let you know from the jump. I'm announcing this to the classroom. Y'all better step your pussies up, because if you suck, I'm voting you low. Point blank and a period. So don't get your panties in a bunch mad at me. Be mad at yourself. But then on the flip side, that's when I put that out there. But then I could be strategic if on the side relationships and friendships that I have, and things like that. And kind of play it that way. That way people be like, Kerel done told us what he was going to do. And then it'd be easier for me to sneak and be like, oh, nope, okay, whomever, Juicy, I got you, boo, because, we see each other, whatever it may be. And even if you kind of suck, I at least got you at number 2 or something like that, a little higher, and I could deem it the way I need to deem it a little better that way. Be like, hey, I just didn't like your talent. I didn't enjoy it. I told you how I was voting. I ain't tag teaming with nobody in here. I didn't like your talent, so that's why you're number 5 when you see my receipts. And so I think that's how I play it. But if I was with you all, it probably had to, obviously I keep you at number 1, but it had to be played a little differently. That way they don't suspect anything. So it almost had to be 2 variations of how I'd play that that way. But ultimately, it would still be probably fairly close to. If I don't like your talent, I ain't gonna put you number 1. It was crunchy. It was crunchy.
What if one of us had a crunchy challenge?
Woo, girl. Don't put me in that predicament, then. Step y'all pussies up too.
Honey, what if I got up there? What if I got up there and messed all the words up?
Clearly, you went to Baltimore.
You went to Baltimore. You still in Baltimore.
You went to Baltimore. So
I'd probably have to put you at number 2 at least. I'd be like, girl, like,
You said I was rooting for you.
And you know they got the camera. I'm like, damn, DeJuan, why'd you put me in this situation? Boo, damn. I wanted to put you at number 1, but damn, what was that?
Can't do it.
Two girls. Sorry, I had to put you. And that might be literally the most honest thing I can ever say. It's like, I can't put you at number 1, boo. That's still gonna be too suspect when they see these receipts. I'll put you at number 2.
Yeah. I think the thing that's interesting about the whole, from week 1 to week 2 is we saw more campaigning happening against a particular character, or not character, but a particular contestant on the show, which didn't feel right. Just from my perspective, it didn't feel right. I understand it, but when you've got like 6 girls, literally having a quorum amongst themselves and targeting which is the person that, we feel we can just get out of the competition, or you can beat. I feel like what Jane Don't said in Untuck, I really resonated with that. Is like, but why are we rallying around Sierra Mist? Because truth be told, Sierra Mist deserved to be in the bottom. She deserved to be in the bottom. So, I didn't really care for that. If I were competing and I had to do Raida Queen, I'm a Leo. So I'm a ride or die for the people that I'm cool with. They're going to get my number 1, my number 2 spots, and that's it. I don't even care. I don't care how they perform. They still get my number 1. If I said, if y'all are in there, y'all will get my number 1 and my number 2. And I'm going to flip it depending on who I felt needs it more. So if one of y'all did worse than the other, I'm going to put that one number 1 and the other one number 2. That's how I'm going to do it. Then the rest, I don't really give a damn. Because at the end of the day, I just want to be there to protect the people that I want to see continue on further on in the competition, just because I know that further exposure just means, further opportunities and all that. Everybody else can kick rocks. So I would probably rate everybody else based on how I perceive their performance to actually be in that particular, in their runway, in their talent show. And
I don't know.
Frankly,
I feel like it's justified. It's justified what Sierra Mist did. That's one of the luxuries of going first. When you go first, and that's part of being able to pick first, is you get to determine the outcome. So the fact that she got to go first gave her the luxury to be able to pick and have that strategy of who gets to go home the next week. Because let's be honest, if one of us 3 had been in Sierra's Mist, we would have been trying to figure out, okay, now which girl we gonna put in the bottom, and that's the real tea. We would have done the exact same thing. If it comes to us, if it came to one of y'all, I would have rallied. You literally just said you would have put your girls at 1 or 2, right? You would have done for your girl in this case that you arranging to put whoever we would have picked at the bottom to help lip sync. You would have done 1 and 2 for your girls in that same case. So, and it's no different than when they do
somebody to be in the bottom.
You can too, because it's no. But I'm just saying, it's no different than like even in the Lollapalooza when the girls get to choose who they get to pick from, and the other girl get to choose the song. I mean, that's part of the strategy of being able to pick first as part of it. So I don't think there was anything wrong with that with that advantage because that was part of going first.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
It's like
with
when you get to
that
flip
part.
the coin, in sports,
what I have an
heads
issue
or
with,
tails.
and again, it's just my own preference, is that I would not campaign. I would not try to rally other people of voting, to vote to downvote somebody else on my behalf. I wouldn't do that. Again, it's a personal choice, and y'all know I'm not if I got to lip sync, I don't care who's gonna be. I'm gonna lip. Well, I'm not.
I'm gonna be prepared.
But I'm gonna do what I can. Like in my mind, it's like with, and I've said this on the podcast before. It's like when they argue over like what parts to play in a musical. I don't understand the logic behind that, because you should be able to do. I get what they're thinking. It's like, oh, this is more aligned with what my spirit is and what my brand is, and da 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 da. But bitch, that's not the game. The game is be able to perform it and be confident enough in your skills that no matter what, whether you get to choose or not, you can do. And getting bent out of shape over not being able to pick your part or having a component that you have to lip sync against in the final competition just basically shows, in my opinion, your inaptitude and your lack of confidence in your skills to be able to do what needs to be done.
I just go back to what you said at the beginning of the episode, which is there's that game within the game of having to do the friendships and having to play that component. And that's literally what you started with, and that's literally what she did. So it may not be your choice, but that is part of the game at the end of the day. That is part of it.
Totally. I get it. I totally get it. And look,
I think it
makes for good TV, because what I just said doesn't make for good TV. You want people to argue. You want them to be upset.
Right.
Yeah.
I miss beautiful gowns. I don't give a damn. But that's not good TV. That's not, my confessionals will be fire, but that on screen fighting and sport, I don't play that. Y'all better go somewhere else. What you say about me? Look, you don't have to say anything else to me for the rest of the season.
Dawon would be good TV, because you would have them drive-bys, and that'd be it. And then the whole season, it would just be Dawon drive-bys. It'd be, instead of the score camera, it'd be the Dawon drive-by.
Yeah.
Like, who did Dawon read this week?
Yeah. Everybody can catch the smoke.
Baby.
Until I'm gone. All right, y'all. Well, this is a good conversation. Thank you all.
Wait, who won? Who got sent home and who won?
We already talked about the winners because they all won.
Oh, Athena. That's right.
Yeah, Athena won.
And
Athena
Sierra
won
went home.
And then Sierra went home, and we saw Mikey Meeks stay on. And it'll be. I think what'll be interesting is
garbage. By the way, that was another one. Send them both home. Bye. Send them both home. That was horrible.
Okay, maybe it's me. It is me.
It is. Yeah, it is. We know exactly where you're going.
I am the drama.
I like Mikey Meeks, but I did not like that lip sync.
No.
And this is what I did like about the lip sync. I liked when RuPaul said, "Oh, this is when Jujubee did it in season 3 or whatever." That was cool, because Ru don't be remembering nobody, but for her to remember that and call it out, that actually made me tear up a little bit. I was like, Ruby putting on this facade that she don't know nobody, but Ru actually does fucking care a lot. And so that moment got me doing the lip sync. But other than that, I was like, send them both home, Ru.
I'm telling you what, I'm really excited for next week's episode where Mikey goes back in, and then they get to see how all the queens rated, and she gets to confront everybody for putting her in the bottom. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. And it looks like next week they're going to be doing these parodies of political campaigns. So this is a writing challenge. It's an acting challenge. It is a performance challenge. It's a creativity challenge. So it'll be interesting to see, especially for some of the folks who, like Vita Von Teese, who aren't really delivering in the personality department. It'll be really interesting to see how they show up.
Yeah. And shout out to Darlene. I love Darlene's outfit this week. I loved it. The tinsel,
wait, which
tinsel.
one? The gold tinsel
with the red. Oh,
that
I
was cute. They were not feeling it though, and the girls were not feeling that look. And I don't get it. I don't get it.
It was kooky enough. It was drag enough. It was quite honestly fashion enough. Like, you could see that on the fashion runways, quite frankly, to be in these like weird couture moments. I thought it was dope. I was like, okay, Darlene, I see you.
And it totally met the brief. The brief was
Yes.
fringe, and it didn't get any fringier than that. She had the most
No, it
fringe
was
on the
Shake.
stage.
I think it was Shake,
It was
right?
Shake.
Yeah, shake.
Shake.
Yeah.
And then Vita, you didn't have enough of the ruffles or whatever.
Vita. Okay,
Vita,
on that note,
Vita, I'm trying to move
that's
you,
the
baby.
tea.
Yep. On that note.
and that's
Punch
the
your hands,
tea.
your legs, and your ass.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.